With the wrong axes, uncompensated centrifugal forces and uncompensated composite centrifugal forces appear due to rotation. The influence of these forces can be demonstrated by many facts on the earth's surface. Foucault's pendulum, the shape of the earth, the fixed directions of the rotations of cyclones and anticyclones. It is difficult to take seriously the suggestion that these domestic phenomena on the earth are due to the influence of the fixed stars. I cannot persuade myself to believe that a little star in its twinkling turned round Foucault's pendulum in the Paris exhibition of 1861. Of course, anything is believable when a definite physical connection has been demonstrated, for example the influence of sunspots. Here all demonstration is lacking in the form of any coherent theory. According to the theory of these lectures, the axes to which motion is to be referred are axes at rest in the space of some time system. For example, consider the space of a time system alpha. There are sets of axes at rest in the space of alpha. These are suitable dynamical axes. Also a set of axes in this space which is moving with uniform velocity without rotation is another suitable set. All the moving points fixed in these moving axes are really tracing out parallel lines with one uniform velocity. In other words, they are reflections in the space of alpha of a set of fixed axes in the space of some other time system beta. Accordingly, the group of dynamical axes required for Newton's laws of motion is the outcome of the necessity of referring motion to a body at rest in the space of some one time system in order to obtain a coherent account of physical properties. If we do not do so, the meaning of the motion of one portion of our physical configuration is different from the meaning of the motion of another portion of the same configuration. Thus the meaning of motion being what it is, in order to describe the motion of any system of objects without changing the meaning of your terms as you proceed with your description, you are bound to take one of these sets of axes as axes of reference, though you may choose their reflections into the space of any time system which you wish to adopt. A definite physical reason is thereby assigned for the peculiar property of the dynamical group of axes. On the orthodox theory, the position of the equations of motion is most ambiguous. The space to which they refer is completely undetermined, and so is the measurement of the lapse of time. Science is simply setting out on a fishing expedition to see whether it cannot find some procedure which it can call the measurement of space, and some procedure which it can call the measurement of time, and something which it can call a system of forces, and something which it can call masses, so that these formulae may be satisfied. The only reason, on this theory, why anyone should want to satisfy these formulae is a sentimental regard for Galileo, Newton, Euler, and Lagrange. The theory, so far from founding science on a sound observational basis, forces everything to conform to a mere mathematical preference for certain simple formulae. I do not for a moment believe that this is a true account of the real status of the laws of motion. These equations want some slight adjustment for the new formulae of relativity. But with these adjustments, imperceptible in ordinary use, the laws deal with fundamental physical quantities which we know very well and wish to correlate. The measurement of time was known to all civilized nations long before the laws were thought of. It is this time, as thus measured, that the laws are concerned with. Also they deal with the space of our daily life. When we approach to an accuracy of measurement beyond that of observation, adjustment is allowable. But within the limits of observation, we know what we mean when we speak of measurements of space and measurements of time and uniformity of change. It is for science to give an intellectual account of what is so evident in sense awareness. It is to me thoroughly incredible that the ultimate fact beyond which there is no deeper explanation is that mankind has really been swayed by an unconscious desire to satisfy the mathematical formulae which we call the laws of motion, formulae completely unknown till the 17th century of our epoch. The correlation of the facts of sense experience effected by the alternative account of nature extends beyond the physical properties of motion and the properties of congruence. It gives an account of the meaning of the geometrical entities, such as points, straight lines, and volumes, and connects the kindred ideas of extension in time and extension in space. The theory satisfies the true purpose of an intellectual explanation in the sphere of natural philosophy. This purpose is to exhibit the interconnections of nature and to show that one set of ingredients in nature requires for the exhibition of its character the presence of the other set of ingredients. The false idea which we have to get rid of is that of nature as a mere aggregate of independent entities, each capable of isolation. According to this conception, these entities, whose characters are capable of isolated definition, come together and by their accidental relations form the system of nature. This system is thus thoroughly accidental, and even if it be subject to a mechanical fate, it is only accidentally so subject. With this theory, space might be without time, and time might be without space. The theory admittedly breaks down when we come to the relations of matter and space. The relational theory of space is an admission that we cannot know space without matter or matter without space. But the seclusion of both from time is still jealously guarded. The relations between portions of matter in space are accidental facts owing to the absence of any coherent account of how space springs from matter or how matter springs from space. Also, what we really observe in nature, its colours and its sounds and its touches, are secondary qualities. In other words, they are not in nature at all, but are accidental products of the relations between nature and mind. The explanation of nature which I urge as an alternative ideal to this accidental view of nature is that nothing in nature could be what it is except as an ingredient in nature as it is. The whole which is present for discrimination is posited in sense awareness as necessary for the discriminated parts. An isolated event is not an event because every event is a factor in a larger whole and is significant of that whole. There can be no time apart from space, and no space apart from time, and no space and no time apart from the passage of the events of nature. The isolation of an entity in thought, when we think of it as a bare 'it', has no counterpart in any corresponding isolation in nature. Such isolation is merely part of the procedure of intellectual knowledge. The laws of nature are the outcome of the characters of the entities which we find in nature. The entities being what they are, the laws must be what they are, and conversely the entities follow from the laws. We are a long way from the attainment of such an ideal, but it remains as the abiding goal of theoretical science. End of chapter 6.